During his 27 years as chair of the Division of Jazz Studies and director of the 1 O'Clock Lab Band, Neil Slater took an already world-renowned program to even loftier heights, established a Master of Music degree in Jazz Studies, and left an indelible mark that will forever shape the direction of jazz at the University of North Texas. Neil's pathway into the world of music started in a middle-class factory town near Pittsburgh, PA, where at the age of 6 discovered a love for music and began piano lessons with one of his father's friends who played in bars and gave private lessons. As his piano playing developed, so did Neil as he grew to be a leader in high school music groups. His jazz quintet, the Knights of Rhythm, won a competition for a local radio station's jazz contest, and for 2 years they were featured weekly on a local radio program. Drafted into the Army in 1954, Neil played French horn in the Army band and also gigged as a solo pianist and with various groups. In 1956, Neil moved to New York and threw himself into his passion for playing and teaching music. He'd begin his day teaching instruments to 4th through 6th graders in 5 elementary schools in Mount Vernon. In the afternoons, he'd teach private lessons, and on weekends, Neil played his gigs. In 1960, as Neil did postgraduate work at Columbia University, his unique talent for inspiring young musicians led to his position as instrumental director at Mamaroneck High School, where his high school band won the Berklee School of Music Jazz Festival. He also taught jazz improvisation to numerous young people and tells the story of how one day a skinny 9th grader showed up to audition for his student jazz group. The boy had never played the blues, but Neil encouraged him through the audition. With Neil at the piano accompanying the boy, he was stunned by his raw talent and convinced him to play the saxophone, which the group needed. That boy was Bob Mintzer. Years later, Neil would welcome Bob to UNT as a guest artist. In 1971, Neil founded the jazz program at the University of Bridgeport, recruiting top faculty members including Bill Watrous, Sal Salvador, Mo Snyder, Ed Soph, and Bill Finnegan. At Bridgeport, his program had notable success, fostering such young talents as guitarist Tony Perrone and drummers Dave Weckl and Todd Strait. In the 70s and 80s, Neil was publishing, playing, and writing TV jingles, and performing regularly with New York's top musicians, many of whom he would later call upon to participate in UNT programs. He served as a composer, arranger, and consultant for MCA and Warner Brothers Music. He was also invited to be part of the Stan Kenton Orchestra in Residence summer clinics, and partly through this association, the next chapter of his career was set in motion. In 1981, Neil Slater came to the University of North Texas. He knew he had big shoes to fill, as Leon Breeden, his predecessor, had put the school on the international jazz map. The standards had been set high at the country's largest and oldest jazz studies program, and Neil knew it was now his mission to make sure that the program remained true to its roots as the standard bearer for excellence in jazz education. With a desire to enhance and expand the jazz program at home while growing its reputation worldwide, the faculty, under Neil's leadership, developed a new Master of Music and Jazz Studies degree, which was rated #1 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. The talent that was brought together and the development of the faculty are a testament to Neil's commitment to the program at UNT and to the long-lasting impression his leadership has had on jazz education. Neil also worked with Dean Mark Myers to fashion a new course that would bring internationally acclaimed jazz artists and scholars to North Texas. The Jazz Lecture Series, which began in 1982 and involves as many as 10 artists per semester, brings UNT students into contact with the highest possible caliber of professional performers and composers in jazz today. In addition, the Glenn E. Gomez International Artist Endowment was founded in 1994. Through this program, jazz greats spend a week on campus teaching and performing with students. These special events, along with the annual fall concert, have made it possible for UNT students to learn from and spend time with a host of jazz luminaries from around the world. The early successes of the 1 O'Clock Lab Band were expanded and embellished by the outreach efforts of Neil Slater. Throughout his leadership, the group has traveled all across the United States and to many parts of Europe and Asia. In 2004, the band traveled to Thailand, where they had the honor of performing for His Majesty, the King of Thailand. Neil and the band also provided a concert for the people of Thailand that resulted in a live recording, as well as a broadcast on television networks throughout Asia. During the summer of 2008, the 1 O'Clock appeared at major jazz festivals throughout Europe, including the Montreux, Vienne, North Sea, and Umbria jazz festivals, on a farewell tour for Neil. This final tour also brought Neil's career full circle, as he had taken the band on a similar tour of Europe in 1982, the summer after his first year at UNT. Playing for hundreds of thousands around the world, the 1 O'Clock Lab Band maintains an international profile as the premier ensemble of its kind and enhances the reputation of the UNT Jazz Program, the College of Music, and UNT itself. One of the most important contributions that Neil has made to the jazz program at UNT has been to mentor and record the work of young composers, arrangers, and players.
We get together really heavy. That is, the band will rehearse from 1 to 3. The rhythm session gets together at 11 o'clock, and soloists come in and play with them. And then trombones, trumpets, and saxophones have individual sectional rehearsals. And we really hit it that week.
With over 35 recordings, including 9 live concerts, tributes to Stan Kenton and Gene Hall, and 26 annual Lab Band recordings, the recorded legacy of the 1 O'Clock Lab Band has been carefully preserved for generations to come. During his years at UNT, Neil has composed over 30 pieces and received numerous honors as a composer, including a National Endowment for the Arts Fellowship grant for his piece Joker, a Grammy nomination for his composition Values, and the American Society of Composers Standard Award. The town of Addison proclaimed April 2nd as Neil Slater Day in tribute to his artistic oversight and leadership in reaching over 15,000 jazz students, teachers, and enthusiasts since 2001 at the North Texas Jazz Festival. And finally, on July 15, 2008, the Congress of the United States House of Representatives recognized Neil Slater in honor of his outstanding career as an educator and composer. And so you see how a young boy's dream and a young man's dedication became a soldier's mission and a teacher's commitment to excellence in the highest degree, all culminating on this one night as we pay tribute to the legacy of Neil Slater, a jazz legend.